Hello there. Today I watched the 1992 film Hard Boiled, and now I want to tell you about it. Hard Boiled is a crime drama from Hong Kong that stars Chow Yun-fat, Tony Leung Chow-wai, Anthony Chow Sang-wong, and Philip Chung Fung Kwok. It was written by John Woo, Barry Wong, and Gordon Chan, and directed by John Woo. The story follows Inspector Tequila, a Hong Kong police legend that finds himself in the middle of a gang war, trying to get revenge for his partner. He ends up teaming up with an undercover agent to take down both gangs and bring peace to the city. It's a fairly predictable plot that spends most of its time on action sequences with the occasional action hero one-liner and a few extreme emotions ham-fisted in at different points. It never really makes sense because you have these two men acting as literal one-man armies running into warehouses full of men, shooting all of them and walking away with only minor injuries. Whenever there's a chance for something dramatic to happen, it always will, and the world of this film is far from reality. You have cops starting shootouts in the middle of public spaces, causing the deaths of multitudes of innocent people, and gangsters who brazenly cut down anyone in front of them without hesitation. Every time. It's totally unrealistic, but makes for an extremely dramatic scenario that is highly entertaining. It also does two things really well in terms of the story. It creates an interesting scenario and lets us experience the ups and downs of the mystery unfolding, and it creates two characters that you actually want to root for, Tequila and Alan. The film starts by introducing us to Tequila and sets him up as a big personality. He's a musician who's also a hero cop, and he tries his damnedest to take danger head on while protecting the people around him. When his partner is killed despite his best efforts, it's easy to sympathize with him and his need for revenge. Then, as he starts his investigation and looks into the people who killed his partner, he uncovers Alan. Their meeting is an act of fate, with Tequila's gun jamming at the perfect moment. Alan walks away from Tequila, and Tequila is smart enough to know a gangster wouldn't let him live. We're then introduced to Alan and the struggles he has as an undercover cop. He's wormed his way into an organization, but has conflicted feelings about the illegal acts he undertakes while on the job. He and Tequila have a lot more in common than they think, and when the two of them come face to face for a second time, they end up helping each other. The two of them end up working as partners to take down the target of Alan's investigation and the person Tequila blames for his partner's death, Johnny Wong. Johnny Wong is a gun runner that Tequila and his men were after. Their journey is full of explosions, gunfights, fistfights, murder and mayhem, and a few jokes here and there. The villains are comically evil, gunning down everyone in their path and having no morals at all. The only one who shows any kind of honor was ironically a guy called Mad Dog, and it was only near the end, and he immediately got punished for it. The visual journey makes sense during the story parts, but is a little confusing during the action sequences. The story parts are just conversations between gangsters and cops, and the way they talk is straightforward. They frame the conversations well and catch all the emotions. Where things get messy is during the shootouts. There is a shootout at the beginning of the film, another two during the middle, and the final act is just one big, long, drawn-out shootout with tiny story moments inside of it. These shootouts are giant scenes with tens of people, sometimes hundreds of people involved. The first one involves cops shooting at gangsters in a restaurant, and the film's problem becomes clear right away when you can't tell who is who. There are people being shot left and right, and you can only tell who Tequila and his partner are, and you can guess that the people they're shooting at are gangsters. The shots of the other gangsters and the other cops are indecipherable. This is a running theme throughout all of the shootouts. There's a lot going on, but it isn't always clear who is on whose side. This plays into the story a bit later in the film, but they don't actually spend a lot of time elaborating on that idea. The shootouts feel like a mess by the end of the film, and they're actually quite exhausting. That said, they're also quite impressive. These scenes involve lots of explosions, fake blood being spurted everywhere, stunt actors flopping and flailing around as they die, and lots of strenuous physical stunts. The fight scenes are the most creative part of the film. The way they use the environment to their advantage and have the actors play with it is mind-boggling. My favorite part was how often the actors would find a new way to slide into a room to shoot their opponents. You had them riding down rails, through morgue trays, on hospital gurneys, across the floor, downstairs. It was so much running, jumping, and shooting. They also get absurd with the weaponry by the end of the film. You have the gangsters firing rockets at the cops, and the cops firing back with handguns and single-shot rifles. It's a crazy sequence of events, and the fact that all of it is done practically is so impressive. Cast-wise, the film has a lot of good stunt performances, but not a lot of emotion. Chow Yun-fat plays the hero cop, but he doesn't say much outside of the revenge plotline, and the few personal conversations he has don't reveal much about him. We know he's dating a woman at the office and having problems with money, but nothing that sets him apart from anyone else. He does some amazing stunts in the film and shows off an impressive display of stoicism but doesn't show any other emotions. Tony Leung Chow Wai has a similar problem as Alan. He gets to do all kinds of feats of strength and agility on screen that will blow your mind, but the only emotion they let him do is a pained yell one time. His character is going through all kinds of emotions as an undercover cop, and yet it feels like we're being told his story instead of seeing it. He's an impressive stuntman, but this film didn't show off any real acting chops. The rest of the cast is one-note characters. The cops are all good guys who try to do the right thing, and the gangsters are all heartless villains that will gun down anyone in front of them. Sound-wise, this film is filled with old-timey jazz and background music that is extremely dated. There are about 10 to 20 jazz-style tracks that play throughout the film, which gives it a dark and mysterious vibe. The tracks are a little loud, but blend well with the scenery and don't drown out the dialogue. There is a lot of atmosphere introduced through the music, but not much else. They don't make you feel excited during action sequences, and they don't tug on your heartstrings during sad moments. If anything, I found them to be somewhat repetitive and annoying after a while. Overall, Hard Boiled is an action lover's movie. It has high-octane sequences that are creative and filled to the brim with amazing practical effects and stunts. On top of that, it has two great cheesy action heroes that you'll want to root for. The music is a bit dated, the cast doesn't do much emoting, and the visual journey is a bit confusing. But for action fans, this movie is a hidden gem waiting to be discovered. The action sequences would still be considered impressive today with the quality of the effects and the scale at which they did things. If you like having a good story with a reasonable plot, then maybe give this film a pass. It's total fantasy and plays on a lot of old-fashioned stereotypes. As for a rating, I'd give this film a 6 out of 10. Remember, these are just my thoughts on the film. Let me know what you think about it in the comment section down below. Bye-bye!